Hello and good morning. This beautiful morning, I'm really thinking about how being kind of in adrenalized mode in life, how that is really a process to come out of. It's a process to come out of to let our physiology really just find a new homeostasis. It is a change. It is a lot to handle, but it's not too much ever to handle. So when you know when we've been living life in a way that is, let me get some of the shade out of my face. When we've been living life for a while in a way to where we are really just in adrenaline mode, where our bodies are kind of programmed that we're just going to be kind of in go, go, go mode all day and distracted from the kind of considerations that, the bodily sensations, the the human needs that we have, the considerations that are distracted when we are kind of um, in this survival mode of, being in jobs that are maybe really physical or really high, like fast paced, and just, there's an element of just kind of like adrenaline to get through it. I think transitioning into a calmer period where we're more internally directed instead of externally directed so much. And just all the practical parts of how our bodies work, um, that go into our days, and how we structure our time and how we plan things and what our needs might be for any moment, like exercise and rest and eating and going to the bathroom and just all these embodied kind of aspects. Um, it does change. It's changing for me now, and I think it's really important to remember that feeling down in the midst of all this is absolutely normal, and feeling confused and a bit apprehensive and scared is normal because we haven't had this experience before, and we're learning what it feels like. We're learning to add new kind of mental labels and narratives to the sensations and feelings we have. So where in the past, we'd have sensations and feelings and not know how to understand that in the greater picture of things, and so we wouldn't really know how to act on it. We're just doing the same thing, we're doing it over again. So when these, especially when anxious feelings come up, oh, it's a hummingbird, cool. um Especially when anxious feelings come up, I think it's really important to remember that it's just a part of re-establishing a homeostasis, and it doesn't mean anything is wrong. It doesn't mean things aren't going the way they're supposed to be. I mean, just it's just another part of the process, and we didn't know that yet because we are doing this process for the first time in this specific way. We've definitely learned things. We all have learned things in the past, but on kind of this new cycle of learning, it's a new type of learning. So, um, yeah, getting out of adrenalized mode, there really needs to be a balance between being inwardly directed and outwardly directed, you know, um, and looking to our inner coach, that kind of coach voice and coach aspect that can approach everything with gentleness and supplying care and um, discounting fears, thanking the symptoms for coming up to warn of possibilities, but then that coach voice in us is able to just firmly say, "Thank you for bringing this to my attention, but I understand that it's not relevant to the actual circumstances taking place. And thank you." And that's it. And you don't have to go any further than that. So, um, yeah, there's so many different pieces to the puzzle when being inwardly directed. Um, but I think knowing the key of being connected to our inner coach and to listening to ourselves, to that quiet, kind voice that is saying, please do this because we know it'll feel more supported and be more interesting and open up feelings of aliveness and security and just refreshing the page, getting some things off the plate. That is I think that's a big part of the reason actually why a lot of people stay kind of caught in jobs that they don't want and don't fulfill them. Jobs that they do dread going to, jobs that do cause um, suffering because people know that they're not in line with their true goals and passions and hopes and desires for how to experience life, how to organize our time, how to connect with people, um, other people while we're here on earth, the quality of connection, types of connection. I think a big part of why so many people are kind of stuck in that, even when they know that they want to be out, is because it is a process to relearn how to organize. He's going crazy. It's get it. Get it. Can you drop it for me? um but it is really a process. Bring it here. Get it. Get your toy. It is really a process to relearn how to be directed internally and to have that kind inner coach that can unite a sense of the combine the senses of kindness and compassion and comfort while also doing the work, the what might be a challenge, the discipline involved in order to make the physical actions which allow us to actually be doing the things that we need to do in order to be um, in, earning money in ways and jobs and whatever that let us have a better balance of life, that help us enjoy things more. And yeah, I know that for myself, being, in these transitionary phases at different times where I have been asking of myself to be more internally directed. I know that in the past, I've gotten really caught up in this sense of judging myself and being trampled by fearful thoughts without knowing how to manage them or how to manage my physical sensations of fear and anxiety. Um, they come up. And right now, I'm in another one of these transitionary phases where I want to be more self directed now that my time is freed up a bit. And once again, I am at this challenging place of being like, well, it can feel kind of intimidating sometimes. Like you see this wide expanse of time, you see the blank, the blank schedule without, without being all blocked out of when, you know, someone is predetermining what we should be doing with our energy, and we just say, okay, I'll do whatever it takes to do what you want me to do. And then that's where we get, the money or all the other um, kind of adjacent or side benefits, the skills we learn, the positive social interactions, all those cool things. So, yeah, being in this transitionary state, for me, it definitely feels intimidating. And also, I'm a bit open because I know that I have an understanding of what this coach aspect in me is like, and I have an understanding of, more so than before at least, I'm still majorly learning as we do throughout life, but how to really just balance what what I think I might need to do with what actually needs to be done, and this kind internal coach voice leading me the whole time. We have to affirm to ourselves in order to maintain this sense of security and encouragement that allows our physiology and mind to be opened up to more creativity, to not feel like we're in scarcity fear mode. We got to keep on encouraging ourselves and affirming to ourselves that everything is beautiful and brilliant and that we are on the path we're supposed to be, even though our logical mind doesn't quite understand all the parts right now. And, the difficult thing um, often is understanding or feeling, bless me, feeling certainty with where to bring in another source of energy exchange. So, by that, I mean it doesn't have to be a way in which we earn income or a way in which we, um, perform some specific service or are like actively building some hard skill or whatever. But whatever we do does have to be in service to our authentic spirit, how we want to feel, helping us feel more empowered, more sure, more happy, healthy, and having that confidence that we are living more and more in line with our values and doing the actions we need to take for our dreams that we are convicted in for our own selves that we need in order to get closer to our dreams. Only we know our dreams. Only we know what actions we feel convicted to take in the moment, depending on what information we've come across so far. We do kind of have those important starting points, and maybe it's not perfect. We don't know exactly everything we do actually need in order to get to where we want to be with our dreams, but we at least have a starting point, a working idea. And that's the important thing, is to be able to be moving in a direction and enjoying the process, making it more about the tone of experience rather than checking off what looks good on paper, but really feeling into that authenticity with, whoa, well, when I actually feel this way, feel in, don't numb out, and feel into what this is like in my body's physiology, in my mind, in my dreams, how I feel, if it makes me feel more hopeful and encouraged or not. Really practicing tapping into that more when feeling our way through to understand what our path is. I think a lot of us are kind of, I don't want my phone to go overheated. I have a weird setup right here to get this up here. So, I think my face isn't really visible. I think that a lot of people here. I think that a lot of people are kind of ah! Yep. A lot of people, that better, I still have the tree in my face. I don't know. Might not happen. I just can't let my phone go overheated. This tree is nice, so I like the shade. Persimmon's fallen off the tree. That's okay right there, but I have to be like down like this. That's good, right? Okay. A lot of people, myself included, we are kind of taught that in order to find a path or be on a path, we have to decide beforehand, and we have to commit and decide, and have that like certainty, and then just stick to it no matter what. That's kind of how I was always taught. But I think the truth of the matter is, especially in this day and age with the internet where we have access to so much more information and options, and we are kind of, we are not motivated by survival so much. We are more motivated by pleasure that brings out the most effectiveness in our actions, because it comes from true passion and inner motivation, and it helps keep relationships smooth that make, we have to be working together in order to accomplish all these bigger goals. So, nowadays people are more motivated by passion and pleasure than they are survival. So these days, it's like a new kind of script that we are learning. I mean, people have been doing this for all of time, but I think it's just kind of a theme at this point in like modern culture is that we are um, learning how to work with ourselves to follow our feelings, because that's kind of it cuts so much suffering out, all the problems we're trying to avoid, all of the accidents, all of the ineffectiveness. It's just like the simple way, work smarter, not harder. And being able to just feel through the process is kind of the theme, instead of having to look at a set of options, get input from others, decide, okay, this is it, and commit to it and do whatever it takes to stay to that narrow idea. um, People are becoming much more, have become much more embracing of this idea that we are always going to be experimenting. It's like we can't have that certainty. We can't have that certainty beforehand, and we don't want to commit to something which then causes these huge senses of failure, um, or not even sense of failure, because that is really easily sometimes modified by just um, not allowing ourselves to think of things in a harmful way that intends to condemn or hamper or remove our responsibility and our freedom, because responsibility and accountability and freedom are the same things, um, instead of that, we are and then having to prove to people, like, these kind of narratives we've all seen play out about, um, like, oh no, I shouldn't have committed because now I have other people involved and relying on me, and I'm going to let other people down. It's very much more of a, we'll take an action, one little small step, and then see, how we feel, and what are the results, what are the actual opportunities that come up, because we are also reliant upon how our environment responds to us. And some of it is a matter of luck, right place, right time, depending on what opportunities come up and what path we end up taking. And just kind of like the beauty of chance that forms our unique path, so we can be proud of that, like nobody else has the same exact path, um, because we all are kind of a bit in this sense of chance. Like, what are the chances that we could have been, this place, this time, this, all these little chain events of little small things, accidental things that happen, which led us to the opportunity that we are in. Um, it's just these more these things that require a really strong character, a really strong ability to manage uncertainty and tolerate risk, and lead more with affirming so hard in our minds all the positive things, all the opportunities, all the ways that we can continue to care for ourselves and empower ourselves, so that we are ready and able to participate in co-creating the kind of thing that we want to experience. And if we don't know yet exactly what we want to experience, that is okay also, because a part of, like, we're all going to learn things about ourselves as time goes on, and we have different experiences. And we're all going to have to feel our way through. Um, so yeah, I think this kind of mindset of more feeling our way through and basing our sense of worth and strength and resilience in gratitude and that inner coach in us that can understand how to interpret sometimes scary or mysterious bodily sensations or fearful thoughts that we might it might come from our subconscious, like our body is trying to communicate to us, like we feel tense, we don't like, we're feeling kind of lonely, we're not feeling the most secure, and so that might come out in the form of our mind, our subconscious mind relaying a um, like a negative thought because it's just trying to communicate we don't feel secure. It's trying to help the best it can for us to have information that is actionable. Um, you know, just kind of living life by helping us ourselves manage stresses, uncertainties, um, and being accountable to our joy, really. The things that we know will bring us joy, and it is a it's the biggest difficulty is the mental posture, honestly, with where we might have difficulty understanding that, like, our conscious mind and our you know more subconscious mind that is kind of just replaying um, old programmed thinking and um, trying to help our mind and body work together better so that we are able to feel secure and accomplish the tasks that we know will keep us on this more self directed kind of path. And I think that's really what resilience is all about. It's all about the internal commitment that we make to ourselves to forever be altering the perspective we take um, to best support ourselves so that we are the healthiest and most effective we can be. Bless me, for those who we love, so that we can better support other people and be just really present and accessible and consistent. Oh my goodness. Um, consistent and um, yeah, just available. Availability is really important. And a part of availability is understanding when we really can't be available or the ways we can't be available because that isn't authentic to us and the role that we are primed and set to play. Knowing our disadvantages and our advantages. We have to understand who we are and be honest about that so that we can understand, like, yeah, in theory this person or this situation needs this, but am I the correct person to play that role? And if we're trying to force ourselves to fill in this role that we can envision a circumstance would benefit from, we will be doing ourselves and other people a disservice because other people won't have that open place to be able to fulfill their human right of exercising their strengths and giving their beauty into the world. I do think that's a human right, and then we won't be helping our own selves to find that place where we actually can be working from our strength also. um, and you know it takes learning. I think the thing that gets us into these most feelings of being stuck is when we feel so strong, like, no, we have to fulfill this specific role. We feel pressure, we put pressure on ourselves, based on fears of, I won't be accepted, I won't be loved, I won't have the money I need, all these fears. And it can cause us to really try to force ourselves, um, sometimes an increasingly more kind of, the word brutal is coming to mind. I mean, like, violent. Violent, even, I don't know if you've ever read the book Nonviolent Communication, but even words that kind of have this tone of violence or underlying threat of violence behind them. Force, you could just say forceful ways, um, bullying ways, you know, we can have to rely and resort to those kind of methods to keep ourselves even more, like, devoted to this inauthentic path when it doesn't need to be like that. And the only price of admission to a world apart from that, a way of life apart to that, is our commitment to being kind and rewriting our thoughts so that we can understand how our mind and the points of reference we've had around us and our body, how that ends up in these experiences, that in these internal ways of processing that are advantageous for what we're trying to learn and experience in life. Um, so yeah, that's just what I'm thinking about today, is this sense of being in a really adrenaline driven mode, the way of earning money, the way of processing being a living being and moving through the world and existing. Got dog hair on me. Existing and living. Um, Transitioning from this fear-based and like primarily externally directed mode, and then transitioning into a more self-directed mode where we understand our strengths and weaknesses, advantages and disadvantages, and in everything we do, we work to change our thoughts and actions to empower ourselves. And for so many people, this just comes naturally to them. But for a lot of people who have, just had different experiences and different examples and role models growing up, all these things, it's not our default. So we have to learn it. And it might seem very um, simple to some people. And I think it's important for us to remember that us learning this is extremely important because it is the key to resilience. To it's not being, things that I can imagine being detractive that people could say in criticism is um, self-absorbed or um, too inwardly focused or anything. But sometimes this is honestly the most productive work that we can do, to be able to have that key, learning the key. It's a learning process. Have that key so that we can be the strongest for ourselves and other people, and so we can be living in painful um, a less painful, suffering based way, because nobody deserves to live like that. And so we can be true to this human right to experience joy and give our strengths and our gifts to the world, and give back to help other people in that way. And also, um, well, I've lost the track of thought right there. It was, yeah, so basically being able to um, live in a way that so many other people already do. People who are more self directed instead of externally directed, and therefore it really cuts out so many of these cycles of pain and suffering and arguments and fear and mistrust between people. Um, and isn't that the way that we all want to live? Some people don't yet want to live that way, but this process is really worthwhile if we actually do want to do the underlying groundwork, the self responsibility that is involved in being able to solve these society wide problems like addiction, like war, like violence, like crime. We're doing kind of the work of understanding for ourselves how to have responsibility for ourselves, and in that way also developing this coach aspect in us so that we can um, support others in a safe way also, for people who are open to learning how to um, process the world in a way that is authentic to them also. So yeah, um, I I affirm for you that you will be able to identify the ways that you personally feel moved towards and feel intrinsically impassioned about, that create some kind of interesting dream, like interesting focus, obsession, addiction in your mind, this kind of ideal dream of something you want to experience, and that you will remember to keep on dwelling on that dream, and to maybe write down what are some events that need to occur in order to streamline and support your dream. You know, like, if you want to travel, do you need you know, you need money, you need maybe certain, like, backpacks, clothing items, um, maybe you need information about the areas that you want to visit. Delve into those things, because the more that you delve in and reverse engineer the process the best you can. Not all the events will the things you can imagine will be necessary, but many of them will be, and it gives you a working place to put your creative energy into. Don't let your creative energy go without a outlet. You know, we got to put our creative energy into um, things that impassion us, because this is, you know, we can't ever take that creative energy out of us. It is here, and just as human beings. And if we don't put it towards something, um, other people will put it towards things that they want. So we got to kind of claim that and be responsible with it and really hold it dear to us. Um, yeah, but just dream and see what I affirm for you, that you'll be able to understand more and feel more impassioned, feel more intrinsically motivated to take certain steps, have certain events, certain things off the checklist crossed off, because you will be zeroed in on, if only this thing is done, it will free up so much more energy that will make this whole path be able to come together, that will, let me realize my dream really isn't that far away. It just takes a couple small tweaks. And the reason why we couldn't realize that is because it's a learning process. We're having a totally different orientation to the way that our mind processes our world and our relationship to our world, and our collective world, the world around us. Um, and yeah, so thank you so much for listening, and take care, and talk soon. And hope you get to soak in some beautiful nature, because it's so lovely. All right, take care. Bye.